Are you building a PC and you don't know what processor you need to choose? You are in the right place because we'll talk about the best processor to buy for what computer you're building. First, we need to make distinct Intel, AMD. They both have a lot of different CPUs, so let's start with the basic CPU for both. Intel has the Celeron, which is the basic Intel processor of the lineup, and it is usually used for laptops. They are terrible, so I don't recommend them for anything. AMD, on the other hand, makes fewer processors, and the basic is the Ryzen 3. The Ryzen 3 is used for gaming PCs also. So you can understand that AMD doesn't care about the very low specs of PCs. You can get a Ryzen 3 of the 4000 series for around £150. But let's get a little back and talk about the divisions of the processors. For AMD, the generation is signed by 1000s, like the third generation AMD processors is the 3000 series. Meanwhile, Intel uses basic numbers like third generation. But let's see the different kind of CPC family these manufacturers offers. For Intel, we have the Celeron that, as we were saying, is the basic, the Core i3, i5, i7, and i9 that are the consumer's choice for gaming and productivity. The i3 is the weakest and the i9 is the most powerful. Then we have the Xeon processors, which are the most powerful family for Intel. They were used, for example, in the 2019 Mac Pro. For AMD, we have the Ryzen 3, 5, 7, and 9 that are the core for AMD. The Ryzen 3 is the weakest and the 9 is the most powerful. Then the most powerful family is the Threadripper, which is sometimes used for non-extreme build. Now let's compare them. In general, Intel requires more RAM than AMD does. Let's compare the Ryzens to the cores. First, Ryzen 3 Pro 8300G against an Intel Core i3 14100F, and we see that the Intel wins. Then Ryzen 5 Pro 8600G against an Intel Core i5 14600KF, and Intel wins again. Let's move on with the Ryzen 7 8700G against a Core i7 14700KF, and Intel does the Max Verstappen strategy and wins again. Final test with an AMD Ryzen 9 8945H again, an i9 14900KF, and they did it again. So for the benchmark, you should buy an Intel, but you have to keep in mind what the build has of RAM, if has an external GPU, etc. Don't forget this, and see you next time.